Hey guys, it's Lemming Rush, and today I'm going to be showing you why I don't like to play the hill on Tundra. So to start off, I'm going to look at it from the southern perspective. Normally what you're going to do when you're trying to take the hill is to cross right here. I've chosen an STB1 for this because it's about an average medium tank. It's not super fast, it's not super slow either. And what you're going to find is that other medium tanks who are just as fast as you, or God forbid it's a TVP, who is even faster than you and is going to be clipped, they're typically going to be camping right here in this area, and they're going to be waiting for people across this area. So the key to taking the hill is normally going quickly, and that'll allow you to catch potentially people out of position. But the risk is that people are going to be just waiting right here to shoot at you, which happens like every single game you play on this map. So let's pretend you've taken the hill. You've maybe taken one hit or two hits, so you're down about 300, 400 hit points. The next step is to clear out the hill, and what you're going to find is that it's really difficult to do. So typically the enemy is going to have one or two arty. They're going to be posted up either here or at A1, and to be safe from that artillery, you're going to have to try to hug this mound, and it doesn't do a super good job of protecting you from artillery at A6 right there. So if you're trying to be arty safe and you're trying to clear out any medium who is in this area, you're going to find that you're not totally arty safe anyways. And this medium here is just going to be hugging the cover, and he's going to have an advantage. So if you're in a position where you're trying to keep yourself safe from the medium tank, you're going to be, again, exposing yourself to artillery as you try to poke onto him. So that's the next problem I have with this position. Normally it's very expensive to try to take this area. Once this is done, it's actually really useful though. You're able to put side shots into the heavies. You can clear out anyone who's in this area right here, or anyone right here. That's going to help out your team a lot. Once that's done, you're going to be able to use the hill to your advantage. Now, the next problem I have with this is the hill isn't very useful. If you're trying to push down, so normally you'll have a ton of heavies right here. They'll be your teammates' heavies because you cleared out this area. The next step is to clear out the TDs who are going to be back here. Now, in a tank like an STB1, it's totally doable. You're going to be already safe because you can hug this rock thingy right there, and you're able to use your gun depression and the bushes to help you. If you're in any other medium, like a Russian medium, it's going to be practically impossible for you to use this spot here. It's just totally impractical, and you're going to end up having to expose your entire tank to try to get the gun depression to hit anyone who's in the TD spot. So if you're trying to use this position in anything other than an STB1, what you're going to find is you have to expose your whole tank to TDs who are back here, and that's just not good. The next option for trying to help out the people who are fighting in this area, like once it's cleared out, is to try to poke right here. Again, that won't really work. What will happen is as the enemy is retreating, they're going to be sitting right here and back here. So they're going to be hull down or side scraping. And they're also going to have the support of tanks, TDs, who are just going to be sitting back there in the bushes. So as you try to poke this, you're going to be poking onto hull down tanks, TDs who are pre-aimed, and some sort of tank that's side scraping off of here. It just doesn't work. This area is way too easy to defend, and considering you've already lost about 600 to 800 hit points clearing out this whole area and whatnot, poking onto tanks with 750 alpha isn't going to win you the game. It's going to get you killed. So that's what I found. It doesn't really work. The next situation is that you've managed to kill anyone who's here, and you're able to somehow push through this area, which occasionally does happen. And you're going to try to use the hill to your advantage. Now keep in mind, you spent about 800 hit points to get to this position. So what you're going to find is that even gun depression mediums like the STB1 are going to have to expose their whole vehicle to get shots on anyone who's maybe by this rock, over here, like normally TDs will be back here. And I mean, you'll have pretty easy shots on arty, but what you're going to find is that even gun depression mediums like the STB1, I can't get hull down here. My gun depression isn't good enough for this slope. I literally have to expose my whole tank to try to get shots. And if I'm going to use this rock for cover, I have to expose the whole side of my tank, which doesn't work when you're trying to shoot at tanks with 750 alpha. The other thing is when you try to poke this side, arty will click you. And it's the exact same from this side. You're not able to hide. Well, actually this works. Okay, but still, Artie's going to hit you if you're doing this, and because you're on the top of a hill, it does not work. You have some Artie cover, but the thing is, you're going to have to try to take quick shots and poke onto tanks that will normally out alpha you. Okay, so up here I'm looking for resets. The problem is there's a giant rock in the way, so if I'm trying to defend my base, I will not have resets. And the terrible, terrible thing is, they have cover, and they even have trees. You can see trees here and right here, which will not allow you to spot anyone who's poking this side of the cap. So basically, if you're trying to reset the cap circle, you're either hoping that they decide that they want to poke onto you. And again, you're not going to be held down. If you're in a Russian medium, you have to sit here to try to get shots. And that's, again, not going to work. So you have to wait for them to poke onto you. And good luck. So if you're in a position where you're trying to reset, you actually have to get off the hill. And you have to try to, like, come around here or something to get resets on whoever's behind the rock. You just spend 800 hit points to try to take the hill. And you're going to eventually have to get off of it if they win the one line, which is an absolutely terrible plan. So that's why I don't take the hill from the south spawn. It's basically the exact same from the other side. You're going to have to cross in front of people who are pre-aiming you. So you're going to lose like 600 hit points. And if they have a fast TD like a grill who's up here, it's not going to work. Sometimes grills will poke here. Same with TVPs, and they'll permatrack you, and it's not good. The next thing, again, is just pushing around like this, except this time you don't have an Artie save option. The second you push to here, Artie, who is at K1, will have shots in you. Any artillery who's back here, if they have a decent arc, will potentially have shots in you. Like, it really isn't very safe. Again, when you're poking on this, you're not 100% hull down, so people will just be able to shoot your hull. So it's not really going to work. You have to wait for them to turn your turrets, which is a viable strategy. And your goal is going to be to try to kill any medium right here. But to kill this guy, you have to kill everyone here. It's very difficult to win this position. Now let's pretend they've fallen back or simply decided not to push up. You're in the same situation. If you're in a Russian medium, even the STB1, you have to get all the way up here to even try to get shots. And in a tank like an STB1, you're showing some of your hull to the enemy. So it's not going to work if they have TDs back here. You can't poke that. Again, it's the same situation. You can't really use this without exposing yourself to campers back here, which, believe it or not, happen really often. And again, if you're trying to reset the cap, it doesn't work. So if you're trying to reset anyone, oh, there's the 50T. He's going to be behind here. There's even more rocks blocking you this time. Trying to defend cap from the hill doesn't work. It doesn't make sense to spend 800 hit points to win a position that you're going to eventually have to leave. Again, when you're trying to push through, if you're trying to push through this area and help out your teammates, you're poking on to people who are going to be hull down right here, side scraping here, and they're going to have TDs back here, and sometimes there's TDs back here. So it's a terrible position to try to attack. It doesn't work. And that's just my experience with it. The biggest problem I have is crossing right here and giving your hit points away. After that, it's trying to push into a crossfire. It doesn't work. And in a map like this, where you cannot easily reset the cap from one side of the map, you have to control a whole lot. It's much better to play something like the one line, where you don't spend anything to go to F1. The final thing I want to talk about is actually really important. I probably should have mentioned it earlier, but what happens if they send like 4 mediums up to here and you want to run away? Well, you've already crossed. You've taken 600 hit points. By the time you've maybe found out that you can't win this, they might send 1 or 2 guys up here. Like, you're probably going to take another 2 hits. You're down to 800 hit points. And you're trying to run away, well, good luck crossing when there's a tank right here, a tank right here, and a tank right here. Like, that's not going to work. It does not make sense to go to a place that you cannot leave. Ugh, it just pisses me off when people go, like, it doesn't make any sense. If you can't win this fight, why would you lock yourself to this position? Even worse, if you're on this side of the map and they have a heavy right here, you're not safe. So, there are so many reasons. It's so expensive to take this spot in terms of hit points. It's nearly impossible to leave. and you're going to if you've won this area and they are on cap, you have to get off the hill. It makes absolutely no sense to lose 800 hit points when you can go to somewhere like here and get really easy resets. Like, the hill doesn't work. I guess I went into a bit of a rant mode there. It's so much more effective, in my opinion, and easier to just play the one line and shoot people while they reload, instead of willingly giving your hit points to the enemy and then basically telling them that you are going to be in one area, right? Like, if you're on the hill, you can't leave. You're going to be there all game. So, like, what the fuck? It's so much easier to go to a position like this where I can very easily run away from. I know which tanks are going to come and shoot at me. Generally, it's going to be slow, heavy tanks, and I can get the first shot off. There's no reason to go to the hill unless you are 100% sure it's going to cost you nothing to take it, and you can leave. And that's never going to happen in a pub game. It's in Clan Wars, maybe it works, but in pubs, which the majority of people play, it just makes absolutely no sense to go to a position that forces you to stay there and gives you little to no options. Like, the hill doesn't let you reset or anything. It doesn't make any sense. It's way easier to just push the one line, get on the cap, and force the enemy to come down the hill and shoot them as they're coming down. Anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully this video made sense. I see a lot of people go hill and they wonder why the hell this map doesn't work for them. It's a terrible map, but going hill isn't the best thing. You can definitely make things easier for yourself by going to the one line or some other position that actually works. Anyways, thanks for watching. Yeah, bye-bye.